happy trade day, first of all, and one of the bigger trades in NFL history that affected my life and affected a lot of Seahawks fans' life. In 2010, before trade deadline, we got beast mode. We got Marshawn Lynch. He walked through the running back meeting room and changed all of our lives with his crazy stuff. He's not here right now, but shout out to beast mode. We'll check it with him later on. First trade up, Pittsburgh is trading a 2025 fifth-round pick to the Jets for Mike Williams per source. Now, I think we all kind of knew this was coming ever since Aaron Rodgers drove that big old school bus over him during that press conference. And he was like, yeah, I was trying to throw it to Mike Williams. He was supposed to be on the red line. That's why I threw an interception. Yeah. I don't know if y'all remember that press conference. Go look it up. But I think this is a big time trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're getting a big body on the outside. Mike Williams, he's 6'4", 220 pounds, to pair with George Pickens on the outside, who's about 6'3", 210 pounds, 215 pounds. Two big-time guys on the outside. George Pickens can separate. Mike Williams, he's a guy, he's gonna vertically threaten you. He's not gonna be the big-time separator from defenders, but you know, Russell Wilson throws those moon balls that kind of falls out of the sky. He can still throw a big-time moon ball, big-time deep ball. Russell Wilson is still one of the best deep ball throwers of the football in the National Football League, and that allows big bodies to go up and grab the football. So I think this is a big time and a good trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another trade. New Orleans Saints are sending four-time Pro Bowler Marshawn Lattimore to the Washington Commanders per sources. I thought this was a misprint. I thought it was a typo. But then I started to think, New Orleans Saints are probably a bad team this year, and bad teams don't keep good cornerbacks. That's usually how it goes. Cornerbacks are usually the first asset to go, and now you're taking them to the Washington Commanders, who I don't think thought would be in a position right now, halfway through the season, leading the NFC East right now with their quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And when you think about the Washington Commanders, first of all, think about this. They have Marshawn Lattimore to go to pair with the other corner, Benjamin St-Juste, right? St-Juste is 6'3", 200 pounds. Who's their head coach? Their head coach is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was with me with the Seattle Seahawks, and he was kind of part of the architect of that three-deep defense, right? With long, bigger corners, right? Now, Marshawn Lattimore isn't as big as St-Juste, but he's a lockdown corner. He's feisty, and his energy is contagious, something that this Washington Commanders defense needs, and they're gearing up, guys. See, halfway through the season, teams that feel like they have a chance in the playoffs or have a chance to go win the big tournament and win the Super Bowl, that's when they go out here and they get assets. And when you think about the NFC, think about this, that the Washington Commanders, they have to encounter. They have to encounter Justin Jefferson, possibly, with the Minnesota Vikings, A.J. Brown with the Philadelphia Eagles, Devontae Smith with the Philadelphia Eagles, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Drake London. The list goes on. And a lot of these guys are bigger, competitive types of guys. So shout out to Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders for getting a lockdown corner in Marshawn Lattimore, who I'm sure he's tired of going up against Mike Evans for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even though those are some of the most classic matchups that you'll see a DB going up against a wide receiver. Next trade, Lions are acquiring former Pro Bowl defensive end Zadarius Smith in a trade with the Cleveland Browns per sources. Zadarius Smith, oh my goodness. The guy can still get double-digit sacks. I think this is a really good trade for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson got hurt a few weeks ago. They're still winning games. Defense is still finding a way to get after the quarterback. Now, I will say this. They will not be able to truly replace Aiden Hutchinson. This guy's young. He's one of the most disruptive players in all of the National Football League. PFF, Pro Football Focus, always has him as one of the top graded pass rushers and defenders, just causing all types of chaos. Now you look at Zadarius Smith. He's 6'4", 270 pounds. He's 32 years old. He's a little longer in the tooth. But this is what interested me. This was what was interesting about this to me. All right, he's in his 10th year. He's had 3 years of double-digit sacks. Okay, 3 years of double-digit sacks. 2 of those years were in Green Bay. 1 of those years was in Minnesota. All 3 of those years that he had the double-digit sacks, he was in a 3-4 scheme playing an outside linebacker. He's going to a scheme with the Detroit Lions. He's going to be a true defensive end. Now, Zadarius Smith, the dude's talented. Dude can do it all. All right. I'm not saying that the guy can't, make the switch from being a defensive end, putting his hand in the dirt all the time, to being a stand-up, sometimes putting your hand in the dirt outside linebacker. But I will say this. To truly utilize guys that have those special pass rushes like that, if you put him in a 3-4 scheme, and oftentimes he can get on running backs and tight ends and things like that, that's when you start to truly attack the pass rush protection of opposing offenses. So, again, I don't think he's going to take the place of Aiden Hutchinson, but I do think his energy, his attitude, his ability to teach the younger players and be a lead dog across that defense for the Detroit Lions, I think that's going to bode well for those guys with the Detroit Lions. Moving on to this recap. Let's go first game up. What do we got? Okay. Carolina Panthers beat up on the New Orleans Saints 23-22. First of all, you lost to the Carolina Panthers, who made they benched their first overall pick and quarterback in Bryce Young a couple weeks ago, brought him back as a starter, and then you lost to him, Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints. Dennis Allen's no longer the head coach. He got fired right after the game, and I think I'm not going to say he's warranted fired. I'm not going to say nobody's warranted losing their job. But I will say this. When Alvin Kamara has 35 touches and has 215 yards and you lose the game, yeah, that's blasphemy. You're a defensive coach. Your defense gives up almost 26 points per game. 7th worst in the National Football League, and gives up almost 400 total yards a game. One of the bottoms of the National Football League. When you're a defensive specialist and your defense isn't performing and you haven't done well in a few years, usually you lose your job. So, Dennis Allen he's kicked the can down the road. Next game, let's go. All right, next game. Bills beat the Dolphins 30-27. Look, my Bills, I'm pseudo president of Bills Mafia. Everybody who knows real Mike Rob, love Bills Mafia. I jumped through a damn table a couple training camps ago. Broke my back. I almost broke my back. Jumped through a damn table at training camp, and I will never do it again. But I like what I'm seeing out of my Buffalo Bills. They're running the football. They're doing great things. They're moving the ball around. Josh Allen isn't having to pull out his cape and be Superman every single play of every single game. But I will say this. We got some end-of-game situational football issues at times. I'm not being critical, but I'm just saying at times. We got to fix that, because in the biggest of the biggest games, and the reason why I don't want to just put it out there and continually talk about it is because I like Sean McDermott. I'm a Bills Mafia guy. I like Brandon Beane. These my guys. You know what I'm saying? I spend training camp there all the time. You know what I'm saying? And the more I bring it out and talk about it, the more it's going to be on their minds toward end-of-game situations. And me being pseudo-president of Bills Mafia, I don't want that to happen. So I brought it up on this Week 9 recap that hopefully it'll be the last time I have to bring it up. Get the end-game situations straight. Shout out to Ray Davis, who had a long touchdown, 2 receptions, 70 yards, but he had a long touchdown reception from Josh Allen. A little running back, 4th-round pick out of Kentucky. Dude's a baller. Get this guy the ball a little bit more. He's a bowling ball of butchering knives when he runs the football. Love that kid. And shout out to our kicker, Bass, who made that 60-something yard kick. Love that. Commanders beat up on them Giants 27-22. I read this note in my notes. It said days between Daniel Jones' last 2 home touchdowns. So playing at home at MetLife Stadium, he throwing a touchdown. 777 days. His last touchdown pass was versus Carolina Panthers September 18th, 2022. Wow. Let's put some stuff in perspective, guys. The Kansas City Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls in that time. 2. I've said it before, Daniel Jones will get somebody fired. Look, I say all that to say I'm being kind of funny and entertaining, but Daniel Jones, to me, is a backup quarterback. I think he should be a guy on the bench that should be coming in, in spots when the starters hurt, or to come in and manage for a game or two when the starters hurt. The Giants decided to give him $40 million and trade away their franchise running back in Saquon Barkley. We'll get to that one a little bit later. Next, sorry. He did truck some defenders too. Daniel Jones, shout out to Daniel Jones. He trucked some defenders as he went into the end zone, but they took that L. Next game, Baltimore Ravens beat up on the Broncos. And when I say beat up on, 41-10. That's a college score. That's an Indiana Hoosier University score right now. Have y'all been seeing the Indiana Hoosiers? Hoosier Daddy University, Signetti. But this is, I'm not talking college. I do college on weekends, but I'm not talking college right now. But they've been kicking ass. But look, hey, Ravens, 41-10. Derrick Henry is probably the offensive player of the year. Probably. But Lamar Jackson's the MVP. Oh, my goodness. Lamar, 16 for 19. Sitting for 19. 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Zay Flowers. Oh, you're blossoming. You like what I did there? You're blossoming. What? 6 targets. And I always read the targets because I always like to know how many times the quarterback decided to throw the ball your direction. And did you catch it? 6 of those targets, you caught 5 of them for 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. And most people on the highlights going to see that catch and run all the way down the sideline, score, running away from the Denver Broncos defense. Only issue with my Baltimore Ravens, I ain't going to say my Baltimore Ravens, I'm saying it like this me, but issue with the Baltimore Ravens, I've seen this act before. Last year, you were clearly the best team in all of football. You just got to take this same script where you're running the football, beating teams up, steamrolling everybody, but running the football. You got to do that in the playoffs too. Get Lamar Jackson a Super Bowl. Next game, Eagles, 28 to the Jaguars, 23. Number 1, Trevor Lawrence. Hey, man, I don't know if you watched the show. I hope you watched the show. Get got, don't get got. But did you get the Jacksonville Jaguars? They paid you all this damn money, man. And look, I don't know if I've seen a game, and I could be wrong. I'm sure the fans are going to let me know. But I don't know if I've seen a game where Trevor Lawrence just said, you know what, guys? You know what team? You know what, Dougie P? You know what team? The other team's better than us, but I'm the best player on the team, and I'm going to elevate everybody, and I'm going to will us to a win. I don't ever see that. I always see like, damn, you threw the ball an inch out of bounds, or damn, you took that sack, game over, stuff like that. Get some dog in you, Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not so sure that can be developed this late in your career. Eagles, Saquon Barkley. I told any Giants fans listening, that's just a couple games ago, I said I was going to get back to you guys letting Saquon Barkley go. Saquon could be in the MVP discussion right now. Saquon's the best player on that Eagles team. And the old best player, I thought was the old best player, A.J. Brown, saw this move that Saquon did and just threw his hands back at him. Said, man, go ahead, man. You're not supposed to be able to do that in the National Football League. And I don't care. You're not supposed to be able to do that. He juked the guy. First of all, the first couple moves were excellent moves. Like being a former runner, being a former guy that can make people miss. Like those were excellent moves. But the fact that he jumped over somebody backwards, and I ain't never seen nothing like that before. Then, which I'm sure a lot of my real true football people know, he ate 2 shots right after. One to the back, one to the chest. Just ate them, got up like it was nothing. Whew. Saquon Barkley is the difference in this Philadelphia Eagles team right now. And yeah, that might be the best move I've ever seen. And Beast Mode, I seen some moves. You put a move on Ray Lewis and a defensive tackle. We played when we was the Seahawks. We played Baltimore in 2011. You caught a little check down route. I had a rail route, and I won't open, so I remember looking back, and I remember trying to get back the block for you, and you hit the and boy, I think you broke a lot of kneecaps.
I mean, I know I'm gonna get got, but I'm gonna get mine more than I get got though.
2-4 for the one time. I'ma get got, but I bet I get mine. 2-4 to 2-6, and if I get got, then you know what I'ma get.